Palmerston was, as you probably all know, a considerable womanizer, nicknamed Cupid. He took mistresses from society and women, notice the difference from the denouement. He methodically recorded his sexual successes and failures in his diaries. The old lech himself could not have done the same if he had been gay. Many gay men go on holiday to one or other of the 80+ countries around the world that criminalise private, consensual sexual acts between men. This entrenching stigma and discrimination against them is, in my judgment, not only morally wrong, but also unlawful. Over the past 60 years, much progress has been made in expressing and defending and upholding civil and political rights, economic rights, social and cultural rights, as well as particular rights such as the right to be free from all forms of racism, from discrimination against women, from injustice to children, the disabled, and so forth. Upon one subject, however, discrimination on the basis of an individual's sexual orientation, there is no specific international treaty. I refer, of course, to the laws of criminalising adult consensual sexual activity between persons of the same sex. Such laws against so-called unnatural offences, sodomy, and, quote, gross indecency between male persons apply to this day in most countries of the Commonwealth, from Antigua to Zambia. We have 193 countries that do not criminalise gay sex, and as the European Court and the Inter-American Court have recognised, the principles of equality and non-discrimination form part of international law. And so it is, in my judgment, the position that customary international law now applies in every country of the world, whether or not they have statutes which, on the face of them, criminalise homosexuality. I spoke to the Commonwealth senior law officers and attorneys general on this topic. I cannot attribute particular countries' views owing to the Chatham House nature of the discussions, but I can report that there was not a senior Commonwealth law officer who didn't understand their obligations in international law, and how most of them were deficient in enforcing the repeal of the laws in their particular countries. One Attorney General asked me to understand the political suicide that would accompany his bringing into his Parliament the decriminalisation legislation that was necessary. And really what this attorney was asking me for was a series of cases to challenge and to change the anti-sodomy laws. And I would suggest that, given the penalties, it is going to be difficult for gay men to stand and fight this particular cause. So we have formed something called the Human Dignity Trust to challenge the laws on a country-by-country basis. It's almost a unique organisation in the sense that it has a purpose, and that purpose should be extinguished within a foreseeable future. Lord Goldsmith, most famously for his advice on going to war and the legality of going to war, is taking on the Belize government in relation to this. Lord Gifford is taking on Jamaica. I am taking on Malaysia. I think I've probably, after the Anwar Ibrahim case, got the hardest of that particular bunch. Our expectation is, though, that over a passage of time and cases, is that we will have challenged and eradicated these laws, which are so discriminatory. In addition to legal cases, it does seem to me that there needs to be support for change from within the country. Religious support was important in the late 1950s and 60s in this country. Scientists and other academics, or from places of learning, have an important role to play in explaining to the general public in each of these countries the stigma and harm and sometimes violence that are caused by homosexual offences, which require part of the population to deny who they are. International help and movements offering support are important. Ultimately, this comes down to one thing: disguised discrimination. Discrimination is illegal. Discrimination is morally wrong. This disguised discrimination is discrimination based on a single basis: sexual orientation. We would not tolerate such discrimination based on race, religious affiliation, or gender, or disability. I hope you will join the Human Dignity Trust and others on the journey to a non-discriminatory society. Thank you. Nobody could explain to Queen Victoria that women love women on occasion, and therefore lesbians were not criminalised in the same way as gay men. The government professes to have an ethical foreign policy. The government professes to push very hard in relation to even its economic trading partners for ethical foreign policies. I don't think anyone since David Miliband has actually done that. David Miliband I had a meeting with when he came back. I'm a Foreign Office advisor in another capacity, and I had a meeting with him when he came back from China, and I know what he said to the Chinese about their human rights record, not particularly in relation to this because it wasn't an issue, but although a strategic partner, it was not an economic partner. It was not something which stopped him. I'm not sure that one could say the same for other foreign secretaries of either hue. And in those circumstances, I think that is a concern. But it's one of the reasons that we've decided to approach this from the legal standpoint, because we think that there is only one convincing legal answer, which is decriminalisation. And we think that, and certainly from my conversations with the Attorneys General of the Commonwealth, they all understand that that is their obligation, and it is the political fallout in their own home countries which is preventing them from introducing the legislation. And therefore, if they find a judge who says you must change the law, then if you like, that gives them a fig leaf to be able to do it and save their political skins. And frankly, I don't care how we achieve it, as long as we achieve non-discrimination.